Hi there folks, welcome back to the IB and Andy Fishing channel. I hope you're doing really well. I hope you've been having a great trout season. Huge apologies that you haven't seen much of IB and I in the last few months. A mixture of things really. I've been manic busy guiding. I lost so many days during the winter that I've had to work really hard to try and catch up. And then on the days where we have tried to get out and do a little bit of filming, it's rained or the weather's been terrible. It's been a really frustrating summer in terms of being able to run the channel properly. But I'm hoping now that things have calmed down after the peak season, we'll be able to get a little bit more time in front of the camera. Come out today to do a short session on the River Dove, a river local to our home. Actually, it's the river I learned to fish on. Quick mention actually to Derby County Angling Club, who own and run the stretch of water that I'm on at the moment. Derby County have asked me to mention they've actually got a few vacancies coming up in the club. It's a really nicely run club. I know all the guys really well, really nice water. They've got quite a lot of water as well, both game fishing rivers, coarse fishing rivers, trout still waters, coarse still waters. So they asked me to mention if there's anyone out there looking for some new water for the next season, do get in touch with Derby County Angling Club. I'll put a little link just up here somewhere so you know where you're going. Maybe see you on the water down here sometime next season. Anyway, coming back to this season, so yeah, I've come down here. It's about 4 o'clock now to do a sort of a 4-hour session. I'm going to fish probably 4 till 8. 2-rod attack. I've got a 10-foot 3-weight nymphing rod with me, but I think I'll maybe use for the first hour. There's a couple of nice nymphing riffles, and while the sky is bright, and it is bright and very hot, maybe the nymphing rod's the way to go, so I'll have a play around with that for an hour in a couple of pools, and then the hope is that from maybe 5, half 5, somewhere like that, we'll start to see the blue wings coming off in bigger numbers, we'll start to see the caddis, and I'm pretty well prepared for both of those hatches. Small number of flies with me, you know what I'm like, I don't carry everything with me, so just a little bunch of flies in my pack just there. A few dozen flies in there, that'll do me for today. Mixture of dries and nymphs. I'll talk you through the flies as we're going. As ever, the nymphing rig we're using is the French leader kit from our Your Nymphing in a Box kit, still available on the web shop. Right, I want to crack on here. Weather's pretty good at the moment. It's just clouded over nicely after a very hot, very bright day. Things feel pretty well set. I want to get in the water and catch a few fish. I've not trout fished this stretch of river in years. Possibly, it could be 4 years since the last time I came and trout fished this, and I'm not sure I've ever actually fished it at this time of year. My big worry here is that this is basically where IB learned to fish. This is where she used to go and do her fishing when she first started going on her own. So she knows this place like the back of her hand, and I'm just dreading her watching this back and demoralising me, destroying me for it. So at the very least, I hope I can do this some justice for IB, because if I don't, I won't hear the end of it. There's 2 fly rig on the end of here on this Your Nymphing kit. So I've got a orange tag on the points, about a 3mm bead, and then I've got a quill jig on the top dropper, that's about a 2.5. I'm just going to explore the back end of this lovely riffle in front of me here. Probably need a bit more weight as we go upstream, but just for the time being, don't need too much. And to be honest, at this time of year, don't worry too much about getting right down to the bottom. Those fish are pretty active, they're pretty mobile at this time of year, they're moving around for food, so it's not the end of the world if these flies don't get down completely. Water's very clear, so I've actually changed my rigging slightly. I would usually fish 5x, about £5 on the bits that aren't touching the fly, and then 6x, about 3.5 on the bits that are, but because the water's clear, I wanted to fish 7x on the tippet, so I'm actually going 6x, 7x. It's a little bit more delicate than normal, just a reaction to the sort of skinniness of the water. It is low, it is clear. These fish will have had a little bit of pressure by now at this point in the season, so maybe a slightly more delicate setup here might be the way to go. 10-foot 3-weight rod, it's the rod that we're very close to reviewing. I've been using it quite a lot over the winter, used it a bit this summer, so if you've noticed that there's a couple of rods here that have piqued your interest, don't worry, that review is coming soon. Must be getting down a little bit because that's hit the bottom. Just snagged up on the bottom there, and rather than break it off, gone over and kicked them off. No need to waste too many flies. We've got so much good water in front of us that I don't need to be too precious about just losing the bottom end of this slightly. It's okay. So no interest in anything after I went and kicked those flies off. So after a couple of minutes I've taken the opportunity just to move up in the pool slightly. I've also taken the opportunity just to put a slightly heavier team of flies on. Didn't feel like I was quite doing the job on the far side here. The inside's fine, but that far side I wasn't quite getting down to where I felt like I need to. I've switched over. I've now got a red tag on the points, a 3.3mm bead, I'm pretty sure. And then the top dropper is now a small version of the deep purple from one of our Grayling packs. It's got a 3mm bead on it, so there's a little bit more weight here. Well, so another biteless 5 minutes has just slipped by there, so I've decided to go for one more fly change in here before I move up to the head of it and just see if they're all at the top. So I've gone for a big one and a little one. We've got the caddy scrub from our trout nymph pack on the point, size 12 with a 3.5mm bead. Gets seen, that's for sure. A really good fly for both trout and grayling. And then on the top dropper, we've now got the exact opposite end of the scale. We've got a size 20 2mm beaded pheasant tail, again from the trout nymph pack actually. So two very different flies on the same rig. Let's just see if we can figure out what's going on here, because I really feel like I should be catching fish out of this. Fishing at a nice distance, keeping myself away from the fish. Don't feel like I'm doing much wrong here, to be honest. It's a case of maybe either I'm not covering fish or they've not fed. You never know, someone might have come through here a couple of hours ago and absolutely walloped it. Who knows? So, oh, there's a fish. There's quite a big fish as well, crikey. Let's get him on the reel as quickly as possible. There's me just starting to lament about how quiet it is. And all of a sudden, we're connected with an absolute monster. It's taken a little bit longer than I thought. Probably fished for about 15-20 minutes. Third fly change. He was much further up than any of the other casts I've made so far. It is a big fish. I've got a feeling it's big old stocky. Not quite, no. Thought we got away with one there. Got him in early. And no panic, nice and relaxed. These nymphing rods, yes, they're soft, but loads of power down at the butt section. Play big fish on these things, and people forget 10-foot rod, it's always got a pretty broad butt section on it. You pull back on these things a little bit. 7x is a bit of a risk, obviously, so I'm not gonna really clamp down on him, but I think we're winning slowly here. Will that do? Can I keep your head up? Can I keep your head up? Yes, I can. As I say, it's taking a little bit longer than I thought, but there's one in the net there. Yeah, big old stocky. Got the string pulled early. See how long it is. Off he goes. Okay, it's a start. One in the net. Well, I was starting to wonder what was wrong with me there. I could feel I'd be cranking up the heat from the other side of the camera. But fortunately, now we've caught a fish. She'll give me some peace for the next 5 minutes of this video at least. I'd say it could just be a coincidence that I've picked up the first fish further up the pool here, but nice feed lines up here. It's a little bit shallower, there's a bit more oxygen up here. I'm not going to change the flies just yet, even though it does shallow up, because there's a bit of a drop off just about there that I would like to fish first with this heavier rig, and then we'll start thinking about going a bit more delicate again. Oh, there's one. That's it's taken a couple of minutes to gouge one out. That's a little brownie, I reckon. Again, right at the top there, right on the shallow stuff. Again on that caddy scrub. Come here, buddy. There we go. Lovely little wildy. Nice, nice, nice. A few more of those, please. Just taking a couple of small steps upstream just to get me a bit further up this lovely shallow riffly stuff. That's 2 out of there now. There'll come a point, I think, where this caddy scrub's going to get a little bit too heavy for this run. Not quite there yet. Oh, that was a fish. We're not quite there yet. But there will come a point where this caddy scrub's going to be a bit too much. Amazing. Not a touch in the first 2/3 of this run. And then 3 takes there in 5 minutes up at the top here. Okay, I'm starting to catch some moss and stuff here, so I think this is a good time for me to make the fly changes, go slightly smaller and lighter on the flies, move the camera, and we'll just fish out the top end of this pool. Okay, one last adjustment on the rig. We've got an orange tag on the point. It's about 3.2, I think, and then the deep purple, the lighter version of the deep purple, which I'm pretty sure is a 3mm bead on the top dropper, and there'll be areas in front of me where that's a bit too much and I'll have to control it with the rod. But there'll be other areas where I think that's going to fish really nice, particularly this little drop in front of me, which I have fished with the previous pair, but would like to fish it just for these 2 different flies. I mean, this looks good for a grayling for me. Bit of weed, bit of drop off, bit of gravel. Fully expecting there's a grayling down here somewhere for me. Got a history of decent grayling as well this stretch. Now, IB's had some really nice ones out of here in the past. I'm not expecting to replicate what she did on here, but At the very least, I know they're in here. There's also a nice hatch of those olives coming down at the moment. I'm seeing blue wings. I'm a little bit surprised, to be honest, that I haven't seen a rise yet. So one of the disadvantages of Euro nymphing is that you have to keep your eye on that indicator really closely, so I could just be missing the rising fish, but I would have expected to have seen something lift by now. Plenty of those little olives coming off, and I think we're going to have a really nice evening's dry fly fishing here. Oh, there's a fish. It took a little bit longer again than I thought it should do, but we found him in the end. Pretty sure this is a wildie. A little bit bigger than the previous one. Play him down here out the way. He was right up in the shallow stuff. That fish was probably only in a foot of water there, right up at the top of the pool. What's he taking? He's taking that top dropper. That's that lighter version of the deep purple. Can we get you in the net? Yes, we can. Okay, they're in there somewhere. Just got to keep figuring it out, I guess. You'll see bigger trout on YouTube, but you'd be hard pressed to find many prettier than that. Gorgeous stuff, Brownie. Just looking at the clouds above me. There's absolutely no rain on any of the forecasts I've seen until about 10 o'clock at night. But I've got a horrible feeling it's about to start raining. I've not brought a coat with me. There was no suggestion on any forecast that it was going to rain. In fact, the first thing I did when I pulled up at the venue was slather myself in sunscreen. Oh, there's another one. That's a grayling this time. Well, having had to be patient in between most of the fish, that's taken the best part of 4 or 5 casts. I've managed to get the leader tangled around the pinky finger. that wasn't my best moment. So we got there in the end. Fish is still on. Oh yeah, it is a good one. Pretty fish. What fly is he on? I think he's on the top dropper again on that deep purple. Can we just apply a bit more pressure? No, we can't. Definitely not. It's the first time I've got him kiting on the surface there. Let's see if we can keep you moving now. There we go. I actually retrieved a bit too much line. Can we keep you somewhere near the surface just long enough to get the net under you? Yes, we can. That's a lovely fish. Okay, so this guy was a good scrap in the river. He's been a good scrap in the net. Thank you very much. I know I said one more out of here, but there was always time for one more, right? We'll just fish out the rest of this little run. Given that I invested so much time in the bottom and didn't do any good out of there, I feel like I just want to spend a bit more time up at this top end, see if I can gouge another one out. And then the big question for me is, after this, do I put the nymphing rod away and go and look for rises, or do I just have another search in another riffle now? My personal preference is always going to be chasing the rising fish. 4 fish on the nymphs in the first pool in the first 45 minutes. Would that be you looking to try something different, or would you think to yourself you've got a bit more fishing to do on the bugs first? There's one more. So that will be the one more. Again, that hasn't taken long. So yeah, they were mostly stacked up at the top here. I've probably fished over a few fish on the way up to these guys, but no doubt about it, the top third of this pool has been far more productive for me. Another little brown ski. We'll get him unhooked. We'll have a little move, shall we? Let's see if we can find a riser, maybe. Beautiful little wild brownie. Nice clear water. Good stuff. It's a valuable skill to be able to put a little bit of distance in between you and your flies when you're nymphing. Guide a lot of people who say they've done a lot of Euro nymphing, but it turns out they generally just fish at a rod length. But if you can use that French leader or your mono rig at slightly longer distances, if you can get out to 2.5, 3 rod lengths, maybe even a little bit more, just put a little bit of distance between you and your fish. You've seen there in that shallow water, you can pick them out of stuff that actually you might not imagine they're sat in. But if I'd have walked up to that area, if I'd have fished that at short range, I'd have almost certainly have spooked those guys. So one up there for the Euro rig, fished at slightly longer distance, an important skill. Get out and practice it. I think I've made my mind up. I'm going to invest the next sort of 40 minutes into going and trying to find a rising fish. There are loads of bugs hatching, I'm absolutely sure, if I just poke my head around a couple of corners, a couple of flats and likely spots. I'm going to find something to lift on the top here. So for the time being, I want to crack on, find some rising fish and see if we can beat that weather. Okay, so it's about 20 minutes since you last saw me. And to be honest, a good portion of that 20 minutes has been me recovering from a pre-comedy fall. Do you know when you fall over sometimes and your legs end up above your head? Yeah, one of those. I hit the ground like a sack of spuds and it completely knocked the wind out of me for about 10 minutes. It took me to sort of get myself back in the real world again. I feel like I'm somewhere near myself again. Fortunately, since we've moved down a little bit, I have been seeing rising fish reasonably steadily through here. I wouldn't say they're really confident or really consistent, but I've got sort of 3 or 4 just along this area, including one that's only just downstream a square of me here. So at the point where he rises again, I think he's going to be the first shot. Seeing lots of blue wings in the air, seen some spinners. There's a few caddis around. There's all sorts of bits and pieces on the wing at the moment, but I think the sort of predominant hatch at the moment is those blue winged olives. So because of that, I've put the quill dun, the CDC quill dun from our dry fly pack. Size 16 quill dun should be about right. The big question is whether or not I've crept too close to this fish, because he is only just in the bubble line, kind of 2.5, 3 rod lengths in front of me. I've come maybe a rod length away from where I've put the camera, a rod and a bit away from the camera maybe, and he was rising while I was there. Have I come too far over? We'll give him 2 minutes, see if he rises again. Okay, so he has just risen. I now know exactly where he is. I watched him eat an olive. Little roll cast, just into the bubble line, just downstream a square of me. That could be perfect. As long as it doesn't drag, that could be perfect. Just there. Didn't eat it. Okay, so a touch further over maybe. Have I got the line wrong? Let's try that again. Little roll cast up there. That's sort of stalled. Didn't go quite as far across the river as it was supposed to. Well, I think he looked at it. I got a little flash of colour then underneath that. He might have looked at that. Certainly didn't eat it. That's right on his head. That's not the one, Andy. Here he comes. Got him. So much for that's not the one. Maybe that was the one. Right, it looked a big fish when it was rising. Now the question is it one of those big stockies? Or is it one of the big beautiful dove wildies? Let's see what we've got here. That was nice. Lovely rise. Just sort of rolled over the top of it. To be honest, it's one of those that I usually miss, because I could see the fish the whole time, I could see the fly the whole time, and it all went in slow motion. Didn't miss it this time. If I can keep him in this edge, in this slack water, he's going to struggle to get away from me here, I reckon. Nice fish. We're on 6x. Got a little bit of pullback ability. There's another fish chasing it. Wonder if I can get them both in there. There's definitely another fish behind this fish. He's in the net though. Nice, 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 nice. Love finding the risers. Can't beat a riser. Righty, let's see if I can do this with one hand. It might be too big for a one-handed release, this one. Not quite. Off you go. Love a riser. There was another fish rising just downstream of that one, but me being me, I thought, no, actually, I'd rather go the other way. Let's see what's happening upstream. And I was walking up here and it's shallow and gravelly, and I thought to myself, God, I wonder what happens here if I find a rising fish. Where am I going to put the other camera? Because I'm in the river and it's gravel, I can't stick it in the gravel. And no sooner had I had that thought than a fish has just risen. So I've currently got the other camera wedged in between my legs, and I'm going to have to make this cast off the wrong shoulder, just under the tree line in front of me. That's pretty good actually. He's about there, maybe a touch further up, but that was very, very close for a first cast. Yeah, I've no idea what happens at the point if stroke when I hook this fish, but I like to worry about those things as they become a problem. Another fish just risen in front of me. We'll take the low hanging fruit. Oh, okay, little rise over there, we'll cover that. That's good. Got him, got him, okay. Oh wow, he's gone flying off. Hello. Hello. Where are you going? Come back. Ooh, come back. And then the upstream fish that I was covering originally has just risen again. I wasn't quite far enough up. So hopefully we can get this guy in the net, get him unhooked, have a quick look at him, and then we'll have a shot at another one. Come on. I can't really move too much here with this other camera wedge between my legs. I apologise, you guys haven't got the best view of this, but there was nowhere to put the other camera. That's a nice one as well. Is that wild? That could be a wild fish, that. Strong, that's for sure. Different sort of fight to the others. Oh, yeah, it is strong. I swear this nice delicate action 4-weight's a real advantage. Keep coming. Yeah, that's a beautiful fish. That's a dove wildie. Let's go and have a look at him. Well, that is as perfect a looking wild brown trout as you could ever wish to see. Thank you very much, chap. Nice, nice, nice. Happy with that one. Lovely fish. I've just taken a little bit more time here to try and stick the other camera in. So we're currently on that setup there, which is why the camera is wobbling a little bit, because it's sort of moving around in the flow. I've got a small fish rising in front of me. It's probably a grayling, but I would like to try and cover the original fish, the one that's under here. So we're going to go that way first, still with the quill olive done because they've eaten it. If I can just get that a touch further upstream, I sort of feel like we could still catch that fish. I haven't seen him rise actually since I came back. I'm perhaps a little bit closer to him than I was before, but I'm going to assume just for the moment that he's still there. Still having to cast off the wrong shoulder, but I don't mind that too much. Little bit surprised he hasn't eaten one of those, which suggests that there's a possibility he's not there anymore. Have I just got a bit too close to him there? Oh, that wasn't my fly. I just turned away to look at another fish that rose, and something rose right next to my fly. Let's try that again. That'll cover the one that just rose. That one there. Oh, tapped him. Tapped him. I think it was a grayling. Almost certain that was a grayling. All right. that's the first miss of the dry fly session so far. We'll take that. A fish rising a bit further up, but I actually think just then, while I looked away, I think a fish has just risen in front of me here. If that is a fish, it's really close. Just have a quick look, and really what I should do here is wait for it to rise again, but because it's a little sort of snap cast fish, I'm just going to chuck it over there and see what happens. Righty, let's get in a position for the one I've actually come up to cover. He's just risen. Check on that other camera. I'm terrified leaving that thing in the water, but it's got to stay there for the moment. It's the only place it can go. Still off the wrong shoulder. Take your time. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Yeah, I thought so. That's a good cast. That was a nice cast. Lovely rise. I've got the pattern right. This is working nicely, and I'm pretty sure that's another nice wildie. Slightly bigger than the last one, I reckon. Why can't dry fly fishing always work like that? You find a fish, you get close, you make a good cast, you cover him, he eats it. Jobs are good. And took a bit of line then as well. Nice fish. Oh, this is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Will you come this way? Have I beaten you already? Definitely a wildie. Ooh. He definitely just swam out of the net. Come on. If he comes off now, I'll kick myself for that, because if I'd have been a little bit more sharp, I'd have had him in the net then. Yeah, lovely fish. Lovely fish. If you can't tell, I am really enjoying this. And once again, really pretty fish. Lovely buttery yellow. Strong wild trout. Not a big one, but absolutely perfect. Well, I must admit, when I said earlier I'll go and see if I can find a couple of risers, I didn't quite imagine I find the number of fish lifting that I have, but it is a reflection of how many bugs are hatching. I say are hatching, were hatching, because the day has definitely changed. That wind's got up a little bit, the temperatures dropped significantly. I don't think there are as many. Oh, I've just spooked a really big grayling right in front of me. I don't think there are as many bugs coming down as there were. But I have still got a couple of fish in front of me. I've got at least one on the right hand side as we look upstream here, and I'm pretty sure there's one somewhere underneath the left hand side as well, but I haven't seen it yet. Again, I'm not going to change anything here. I think everything's working nicely. That fly is absolutely perfectly imitating what these guys are eating, and as long as I can get my drifts right, they've all been pretty willing. That fish on the right hand side is just gone a couple more times. If I can drop this just at the top end of where that plant, oh, that's in the tree. I just pushed at that a little bit. That's not like me, that's too much talking, not enough concentrating. I can just drop it at the top end of where those big leaves stick out. Should be absolutely spot on. Yeah, of all the things that I do get wrong in my casting stroke, it's not usually that one. It's a bit below him. Little bit below him. I'm in a bit of a catch-22 here, because the right thing to do is to take a couple of steps to the left. But because I know there's a fish to the left, I don't want to go too far. Okay. Well, I've got a fish. I don't know if it's the fish, but I know where there's one rising now. It's a little bit further up and across than I've been casting. There's a second bubble line closer to the tree. Oh, that is perfect. That is absolutely perfect. It might have, oh, it just dragged a touch over him. That's such a good cast though. Oh dear me. Yeah, the quality of the cast and the quality of the drift weren't quite aligned there. That's pretty good. Got him. Got him. Ah, fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Cast before was great. That one, that one might have been even better. These fish are a bit unlucky here. They've caught me on pretty good form. Don't know if it's a stocky or a wildy yet. Try and get him on the reel. Where are you? Ooh. Ooh. I reckon that's a stocky. That's all right. That was all about the cast. That could have been whatever it wanted. That's one of those casts you just... it's almost like the... For me, that's like the dream trout. Technical cast, under a tree, weird flow, bit of drag. That's a real sort of headache fish, that is. So to get that one right second cast, pretty chuffed with that. All right, can we keep you moving? Ooh. Yeah, you are moving, just the wrong way. Ooh, nearly slipped on the rocks there. Spend some time on my feet today, it'd be nice. Oof. Alright, is that you? Are you done? Should we keep you moving? Should we keep you moving? Are my arms long enough? Yeah, there we go. That was a cool fish. Real funky cast, that one. Yeah, at this time of year, that quill olive dun is a real workhorse for me. And you can see why. It definitely puts fish in the net. Well, that was a fun little pool, wasn't it? What was that, 4, 5 out of there? 5 risen maybe? Yeah, that went really nicely, and that quill olive dun is absolutely getting the work done. I love those things on the skinny flat water, on the stuff where there's no riffle. That little quill olive dun, it's such a great shape. It's a great profile. It's delicate enough. They almost always eat that thing if they're on the blue wings. So size 16, size 18 quill olive dun, absolute essential at this time of year. I recognise actually I haven't really talked much about the leader setup. You know, it's a 9-foot 4-weight rod, but the actual leader setup, I'll be honest, it's a little bit crude, this one, because it was just what was on the rod when I picked it up. It's actually a cut back version of the, is it the Rene Harrop? Rene Harrop, is that right? I'll put a picture on the screen. 14-foot 5X leader that I think has been cut back to the point where it's nearly into the taper. So all I've done is added about 4 feet of 6X tippet onto the end of that. So we're probably, oh, I don't know, 15 feet maybe. It's perfectly manageable, turns over really nicely. Even with that little bit of wind, it's done absolutely fine. And because it's got that extra length to it, you get those little wrinkles in the system and you get slightly better drifts. I spent a wee while looking for rising fish actually in the last 20 minutes or so, and I've not really seen much, to be honest. It has definitely changed. It's gone a little bit quieter, and even though the sun is perhaps a little bit brighter and the wind has dropped off a little bit, there are nowhere near as many bugs coming down this river as there were when I got here. Certainly in the area I'm now, there's not really a whole lot happening. The odd riser here and there, but very infrequent, so I'm going to have to get my skates on again, I think. I'd like to catch a couple more fish. I'm here as a guest of the landowner, so I don't want to take the Michael. So 1 or 2 more fish would be absolutely lovely. Great way to round off the day, specifically on the dry flies. That nymphing rig's an ornament now. That's not going to get used again. But if we can catch 1 or 2 more risers before the end of the day, that would be me very satisfied. But we're going to have to go and find them. This is one of those pools that just fills you with optimism, because you just know that even though there's not lots of stuff hatching, whatever there is going to be hatching off here and then coming down this feed line. Very, very narrow, tight feed line on the far side here. And even just in the time, 20 seconds I stood looking at the pool watching it, I've seen 2 fish rise. I'd rather cover these fish from square or slightly downstream, but I feel like that means we've got to walk past them. I just feel like I'm going to get too close to them. So I'm going to make this a slightly downstream cast. I'm going to keep the quill olive on for the moment. In truth, I probably might be better off with something a bit more buoyant in the slightly more ruffled water, but I'm hoping it's not going to make too much difference. Should be able to see it over there at the very least. That's pretty good. That is good. That is good. That's going to cover the fish. It's just whether or not it drags. Yeah, it did a touch. Okay. Let's try that again. Try and make sure the fly lands further downstream than everything else. Eat it, eat it, eat it, eat it, eat it. Oh, he did eat it just as it dragged as well. Dang it. And I've hit the bank behind me. Didn't like any of that, to be honest. Fly was dragging, splashy rise. I struck like a numpty. None of that was great. I'd have rather he hadn't taken it, in truth. Okay, something has changed here. Can't see what these guys are eating, which suggests it's quite small. It's worth me dropping down a size on the fly here. Oh, I've just seen another lovely rise. That would cover it perfectly. Can't decide between going for a smaller version of what I've got on, or perhaps just dropping a little emerger over these guys. Covering that absolutely perfectly there. I mean, that is just perfect for where this fish has been rising. So, made a fly change. I've gone a little bit off centre actually. A deer hair emerger is one of my absolute favourite patterns, and the big one in our trout dry fly box really pulls fish up. So I've decided rather than go too delicate, I'm actually going to go the other way for a couple of casts. Put this, it's a size 12, it's a big unit. I've seen some caddis, but I have found it does just pull fish up. So they see it from a long way away, that big body's below the surface. Got him. Oh no. He ate it first cast. I watched him turn. Oh, dang it. Okay. Well, at least you know there might be some mileage in it. Okay, so I did just spend 5 minutes there covering a fish that I saw flap once upstream, but it didn't move it. Made a little fly change. I've actually got a, it's the Full and Mill Paul Proctor Pearly Butt Emerger in a size 16. Nice pattern. Just as a bit of a change from what we've been throwing, but I have just started to notice in the last few minutes there are a few spinners kicking around as well, so we could be at the wrong end of the life cycle there. I've also just taken a bit more care to sneak slightly further downstream to cover these fish than where I was last time. If I can get a slightly better drift from here. I mean, I'm covering those fish really well there. Can see the drift's okay. There's no issue with the drift on these. I can see it. That one will drag a little bit. It didn't land quite as well, but he ate it anyway. What do I know? What do I know? That's twice today I said that's not going to be the one, and it's been the one. Righty. So that was the original target fish. That's the one that we sort of saw first, the one that made us climb in the first place. It's a really nice grayling. It's a quality fish. Great fight as well. Look at this. Strong grayling. I've changed the rod angle on him here. I need to stop doing that. Oh, yeah, well there. That's the reason why I need to stop doing that, because if you change the angle enough times, Andy, eventually you'll just twist him straight off. That's a real shame, because that was a big grayling. It was significantly bigger than the one I caught earlier. Ah, dang it. What a shame. Righty. For one last fish, I've gone with one last move, and I've done a bit of a sort of a kamikaze wade downstream. I had no idea what I was putting my feet on. So eventually I've ended up in front of a few rising fish here. Actually, that's a pretty good first cast. Again, it's going to have to be a bit of a downstreamer. I can't get past them without spooking them. They're not regular risers. They're not at it all the time. But they have been relatively consistent. Again, that's pretty much bang on for the target fish. There are 2 or 3 of them. Okay, the fish just moved a bit further across. It didn't look like a big fish. That's a great cast. It's an absolutely perfect cast. Slight drag on it. Did get him though. That's a good cast. That was a good cast. Wow, Brunski. Too late now. Come on. Come on, get in that net. Ah, it's a bit of a relief to get one in the net. Bit of a dry spell there. Lovely wild brownie. Good stuff. Off you go, bud. Yeah, I'm going to stick to my word. I said one more fish, and one more fish it is. Lovely little brownie to finish the session on. A bit of a kamikaze wade to get there. I was about 2 steps away from death for most of that, but it was worth it in the end because we got down there and we got ourselves one last wild brownie in the net. What a nice few hours fishing that's been. I got here at 4, it's now just coming up to 7:30, so 3.5 hours. Again, I know I say this a lot, but my camera batteries last for an hour and I'm about 10 minutes into my second battery. To give you an idea of how little fishing I've done since I've been here, maybe an hour and a quarter's worth of fishing the whole time. So really happy with how this has gone, particularly the dry fly fishing, which I've absolutely loved. Bit of a trip down memory lane for me, this one, because I haven't fished this stretch for trout in ages. Hopefully IB thinks that I've done it justice. Hopefully the club and the landowner think I've done it justice as well. As I say, Derby County Angling Club, the club that owns this water, are looking for new members going forward. So if you want to have a quick look at this link here, you'll find out more information about how to become a member of water like this. On the subject of links, there's also going to be a link just here that will take you to all of the flies that I've used today, other than one, I think. All of the flies that we've used have been from either our trout packs or our Grayling packs, that we've used a bit of both actually. All fish catchers, most of them have been really effective today, particularly that quill olive dun, which is just the absolute one for those flats. So if you're looking to up your dry fly game or your trout fishing game full stop, get yourself over to the web shop, find yourself some new flies, get some more fish in the net. I'm going to go home now, even though, to be honest, it's just starting to bubble. The spinners are falling. It's gone still. It feels great. There's going to be a big spinner fall tonight, but I can't film it because it's going to go dark. You won't be able to see what we're doing. So I'm going to go home, see IB, see Snips, reassure that I can still do it. And hopefully IB, Snips and I will be back soon for some more videos, some more fishing, some more dry fly fishing, and all sorts of other stuff. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.